Hi everybody. Well, after 31 days of frenetic transfer dealing, it all comes down to this. There is less than 1 hour to go for Premier League and Championship clubs to get their business done. And there is one big question on everyone's lips tonight. Will Manchester United get the deal done for Ighalo? Will that get over the line? Well, it's a question that we didn't think we would be asking our special guests this evening. Mark Hughes and Jaap Stem are with us tonight, and they're with us for the next hour. Both men, of course, more than qualified to talk about all things Manchester United and a whole lot more as we count down to the 11 o'clock deadline.
Yes, as we all know, a lot can happen in these final few minutes, as we've seen time and time again over the years. Dharmesh Sheth and Kavi Solokol, the men in the know, they will be with us every step of the way to give us the inside track on all the probable deals.
Premier League clubs must now complete this deal sheet. If not, they can't complete transfers after 11 o'clock. Stay with us as we find out which clubs are trying to push for that 1 a.m. deadline.
As United look to add firepower to their ranks, their record goal scorer has reminded everyone of his abilities, playing for Derby tonight. And it wouldn't be deadline day without some late drama. We promise you, this picture you're about to see here, it is David Moyes arriving at the London Stadium to wrap up the most expensive deal of the day so far, £20 million for Hull's Jared Bowen. And have Sheffield United had the best window? Another 3 players in through the door in the last 24 hours. All the details for you coming up this hour.
OK, time is against us. We start with developments at Old Trafford right now, and Manchester United's late move for this fella, Ighalo. I think we might have a bit of breaking news. Let's go to James Cooper, who can tell us more. James, good evening.
Yeah, the lights are bright here, Jim, and that's because it's positive news. They are closing in on this smash and grab. I'm told that agreement has been reached between Manchester United and Shanghai Shenhua for the loan deal to take Ighalo from China to Manchester United, at least for 6 months, but I think there will also be an option on Manchester United's side to purchase. I'm waiting for confirmation from Manchester United about that. I believe from this end of things are looking positive, and they are inching closer to getting that deal announced and bringing that man all the way from China back to the Premier League, someone who made quite a big impact when he was playing for Watford, went over to China, still managed to keep scoring goals, and that's what's put him in the shop window for Manchester United. They needed someone for a short-term deal, someone who could just make up for the absence of Marcus Rashford, someone who could give Manchester United another option. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, first plump for Josh King. He couldn't get him out of Bournemouth on a short-term deal. Bournemouth weren't interested in that sort of arrangement. So next down the list was Ighalo, and it looks as though that is happening now. I think it'll be interesting to see how it works out, but I think certainly at 30 years old, with the experience of being a goal scorer that's done well in the Premier League, he gives a slightly different option to maybe Anthony Martial and Mason Greenwood, and maybe it's a plan B. Yeah, I've got to admit, from Manchester United fans' point of view, it isn't Erling Haaland, and that's been compounded by the fact he's scored so many goals for Borussia Dortmund, but I think they will recognise that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted a striker, and it looks as though he's got him. And I think all credit as well to my colleague Becky Williams, who mentioned Ighalo as a target for Manchester United around about 3 o'clock this afternoon, when things look very unlikely. It now looks far more likely.
James, well done with that. Ighalo then. But the clock is against us happening when you look at it. 55 minutes to go to get the deal done. Dharmesh Sheth has joined us on set. Jaap Stem is with us. Mark Hughes is with us. Dharmesh, this was a day that began with talk about Josh King, and it's finishing with Ighalo for Manchester United.
Absolutely. Manchester United all window since Marcus Rashford suffered that double stress fracture. Wanted to bring in a striker on loan. So they went to Bournemouth, tried to get Josh King on loan. Bournemouth were only going to release him if 2 things happened: if it was a permanent deal and if they got a replacement. Manchester United weren't going to do that. Bournemouth couldn't get a replacement. They had asked about Ighalo earlier on in the window. We thought it was fantasy. But then it came back, it re-emerged today, and now we're in a position where the deal has been agreed. 6-month loan with an option to buy at the end of those 6 months from Shanghai Shenhua. All of the details and the medical, the personal terms has been done in China. We expect him to come into the country in the next 72 hours. There was a slight twist in the last couple of days as well. Inter Milan, who've been dominating this transfer window, they're buying loads of players from the Premier League. When they realised they couldn't get Olivier Giroud, they actually asked about Odion Ighalo, but he had his heart set on returning to the Premier League because once he found out Manchester United were interested, that was the only destination he wanted.
Mark, this is fascinating, actually, as Darmish is describing. There's Odion Ighalo wandering about, quite innocently wandering about China. Half the world wants him, and he's going to end up at Manchester United, it seems.
Yeah, I would probably think he's probably covered in bruises because he's probably been pinching himself all day. But listen, if it happens for the boy, you'd be delighted because it's fantastic. As we well know, it's a fantastic club to play for. So if you get the opportunity to do it at any stage in your career, not many players will refuse to go.
But on a serious note as well, Mark, my ears pricked up when you described what you think of this boy as a player. You like him. You think this is a good addition.
I think he's the type that United need, whether or not that's a long-term view that Ollie has in terms of where he wants to take the team. I've watched them on a number of occasions, both live and on TV, and whenever I do watch them, I always feel that they lack that little bit of physicality at the top end of the pitch, just to relieve pressure. I watched the other night when obviously United won at City, but when they were getting pressed really hard by City in the first half, I always felt that they needed that outlet to be able to knock it up to a big man who will retain possession for them, resist challenges and then bring other people into the game and allow the team time to get up the pitch. Without that physicality, sometimes you can't get out.
Yeah, I can remind you, in the 3 seasons that he spent at Watford, he made 55 appearances in the Premier League, scored 16 goals. Now, that works out at more than 3 games per goal. It's interesting because a lot of people will look at that and think, well, that ain't good enough.
No, but you never know, because if you're playing with better players, and hopefully he's playing now, of course, with better players than he was playing at Watford, then you get more opportunities to score as well. You know, so I'm sure he's got the ability. He wasn't first choice. You know, you might assume that people have seen him. You know, they trust him in what he can bring to the team, to the squad. You know, and if you play with certain players around you as well who can play good football and get you into certain areas and certain positions to score goals, then he's probably going to score more goals, yeah.
We don't know, Mark, what he will do in a United shirt, but had Woodward and United not made a move to get in a player in this department, would this have been a lost opportunity in this window for United with Rashford out?
Well, I think Ollie has made it quite clear that he felt they needed to bring another striker in. The options in the January window aren't going to be great because I would suggest that it's easier to bring in maybe defensive players, midfield players, but to actually bring a top-line A-list striker in from another club in the January window is very, very difficult. You need the resources to do it. Very few clubs can do it. Clearly, Man United are one of the clubs that have that ability to be able to do that deal.
Sure thing. 51 minutes until we hit the deadline. Let's hear from Joe.
Yeah, because Manchester United edging closer to potentially signing Odion Ighalo. But what about West Ham? Are they moving closer to what could be the biggest deal of this deadline day? Jared Bowen, we know that he is at West Ham. Let's find out from a man who is down there to see what exactly is going on. JD Dyer, what is the very latest?
Joe, the time is ticking, but the big question is, can they get the deal done with less than an hour to go, as you turn around and say? Jared Bowen seems to have been the topic of conversation all afternoon, and literally he's been a topic of conversation with David Moyes as well in his press conference. He spoke so proudly of his qualities and the abilities that he can bring and the goals that he brings to his game as well. And then also within that press conference, he spoke about his team needing to add goals to help Sebastian Haller. What I can report, literally behind me at the London Stadium here today, I have seen David Moyes with my own eyes. He did come here roughly around 8 o'clock in a blacked out car, as you could imagine, a little bit earlier on. And then what happens afterwards? Typical deadline day drama. Cars are rolling in afterwards, all blacked out windows. It's difficult to kind of convincingly say that Jared Bowen was here, but our understanding is that he is on the premises. He is finding out those finer details as we've reported all afternoon. And look, there'll be good news, hopefully, for West Ham fans with less than an hour to go. Can they finally get this deal over the line and bring that forward in? That's going to bring them all them goals.
Thanks very much indeed. They're up against the clock, aren't they? Because we're well into the final hour. A bit of breaking news at Leicester City. I tell you who will tell us more, and that's Rob Dorset. Rob, how are you?
Good, thanks, Jim. We've waited for this one. Leicester City's fans have waited for this one as well, but it's a done deal. Ryan Bennett has joined on loan for the rest of the season from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Leicester City have the option to buy him on a substantive transfer in the summer for a fee of around £5 million. The shots you're looking at now are the shots we got earlier on today, just before midday, of Bennett arriving at Leicester's training ground. Great shot, look there. You can see him in the wing mirror there as he talked to security as he went in. This is the deal that Brendan Rodgers wanted. He wanted an experienced player, an experienced centre-back that could go straight into the side if needs be as cover for Kagler Soyuncu and Johnny Evans, his two first-choice centre-backs. And get this, Jim, 25 weeks and 4 days since Leicester City sold Harry Maguire to Manchester United in the summer for £80 million. They now have a replacement. Now, Leicester will tell you, I think, if you speak to them behind the scenes, it's not a direct replacement. They still may well be in the market for maybe a marquee signing at centre-back in the summer, but Ryan Bennett comes in ready to play if called upon and ready to battle those other two for a place at centre-back. Interestingly, Brendan Rodgers said throughout this window that if he got a centre-back in, he would let Filip Benkovic go out on loan. Well, we expect that to happen as well. A lot of Championship clubs have been interested in him, and Celtic north of the border as well, but it looks like Bristol City are going to steal a march on them and they'll get him. We'll wait for confirmation of that. But yes, done deal. We've waited a long time for it, but Ryan Bennett is now a Leicester City player.
Rob, well done for that. Thank you very much indeed. What are we talking about? 48 minutes to go until we hit the 11 o'clock deadline. Deadline in England, 11 o'clock. It is midnight in Scotland. Of course it is. Either which way, 11 o'clock's way past Jamie Weir's bedtime. He's at Aston Villa, and the lights have kind of gone out on you. We can make you out. Yeah, there we go. Light the boy. Light him up. It's Jamie Weir. What have you got, mate? Oh, that was a big moment for Jamie. I think he's going to tell us about a possible signing in this final hour at Aston Villa. We will go back to Aston Villa very shortly. What do we know at this stage? Well into the final hour. This is what we know. Odion Ighalo on the brink of joining Manchester United, and Jared Bowen on the brink of joining West Ham United. Jaap Stam is with me. So too is Mark Hughes. And Joe and I are ready to take you right through the deadline and beyond. Stay with us.
Unibet sponsors Sky Sports News.
Yeah, just over 43 minutes left on this deadline day. Strikers dominating conversation throughout this window. We're going to get the very latest from Chelsea in just a moment, but we're going to turn our attention to Tottenham because, of course, Manchester United, we understand, moving closer to that move for Ighalo, but Tottenham, we're interested in bringing in Ighalo as well. Paul, what can you tell us about Tottenham and their search for a striker? Are we going to see a new face in the next hour?
Joe, I don't think there are enough strikers to go around in this January transfer window. The lights beginning to go out in the building behind me here at Tottenham, and the lights just may well have gone out on their search for a striker. We don't think they will bring in a striker before the deadline. They have tried to bring in a number of short-term options. The latest, which you mentioned there, Ighalo, who has ended up at Manchester United. Spurs did fail with a late attempt today to try and get him on that similar sort of deal, that 6-month loan deal. Just to give you a bit of context why Tottenham have been going after these strikers, Olivier Giroud has been mentioned as well, Willian Jose, Piontek, Slimani, all players available on short-term options, but for whatever reason just haven't worked out. So, for example, with Giroud, Chelsea couldn't find a replacement, so they couldn't move him on. With Piontek, Tottenham wanted a loan deal, but AC Milan wanted a permanent transfer, and he's ended up at Hertha Berlin. So there have been all these reasons, but you remember they've been trying to replace Fernando Llorente, and the reason they didn't replace him in the last window, we're being told, is because, well, as we know at the time, Maurizio Pochettino talked about having Troy Parrott and really moving him on and having him as a backup striker. And of course then there was the manager change, and Jose Mourinho feels that he just wants a more of an experienced striker. But at this time of the season, when you change your manager mid-season, it is very difficult, and as we've seen a number of top clubs right across Europe going after strikers, there simply are not enough to go around, as we've seen. So that's the situation with Tottenham. We're told they're quite relaxed about it. They're certainly not panicking, given the fact they've been able to bring in people like Jedson Fernandez and Steven Bergwijn, because Bergwijn can play in a wide area that frees up Heung-min Son to play in a more central role as cover for Harry Kane. So we're being told they're relaxed. It sounds like they won't get a striker in on a temporary basis, and they will turn their attentions to this summer window when clubs can do a lot more long-term planning. One potential outgoing, we still cannot rule out a departure, and that departure is Victor Wanyama. Late interest in him from France and Spain as well. So we will keep you across that. He could well leave the club, but as things stand, more likely for an outgoing than an incoming at this stage at Tottenham.
OK, Paul, we'll keep across that one. We'll come back to you. 40 minutes left on this deadline day. Chelsea, of course, they were after a striker as well, but perhaps, Gary Cottrell, the story of their day, the focus is going to be on a player who's actually stayed at the club rather than anyone coming in.
Yeah, the lights going out at the Tottenham training ground where Paul is. The lights have just gone out on the stadium here as well. Very gloomy at Stamford Bridge, but they started so brightly. All the speculation of a striker coming in. Cavani was mooted, didn't happen. Dries Mertens was mooted, didn't happen. Frustrating for Frank Lampard, frustrating, as you alluded to, for Olivier Giroud. He could have been allowed to go. He would have been allowed to go if they could have got a replacement in. He wants to go. He had the chance to go. 3 or 4 clubs made an offer to him. He's not playing here. It's very frustrating for him. But as it happens, and as it's turned out, he's got to stay. Frank Lampard was at his news conference earlier on today, frustrated that no deals had happened. He was expecting it to be a busy window, given the ban in the summer window. So it's frustrating for Giroud, it's frustrating for Lampard. No Brexit Day exit for Giroud. He's a reluctant Remainer, but he's not a Remoaner. Frank Lampard at that news conference praising his attitude, even though he's not playing, saying he's been very professional throughout. Staying, though, for now, Giroud.
Gary, good stuff. Thank you very much for now. Remember, 38 minutes. That is the deadline in England. In Scotland, they get an extra hour to get their business done. And Charles Patterson joins us now because, Charles, you've got some breaking news to bring us from Rangers.
Indeed, and also involving Hibernian, because the two clubs have swapped players this evening, and the deals that we've been talking about have been completed. Florian Camberry is now a Rangers player. He's moved on a loan until the end of the season from Hibernian, and Greg Docherty has gone the other way along the M8 motorway, and he is now a Hibernian player until the end of the season on loan. Steven Gerrard wanted a striker. because Jermaine Defoe is injured out for at least 4 to 5 weeks with a calf problem, maybe even longer than that. He has got Florian Kamberi in to provide competition for Alfredo Morelos. They did try and get Mattia Vidra from Burnley. That is not happening because Burnley couldn't let him go. So we believe that is the deal done. Deal's done in terms of Rangers incomings tonight. There is a possibility that 1 or 2 might go out on loan, but it's looking very late now. Greg Doherty has gone on loan to Hibernian, and they've also got Mark McNulty in as well to replace Kamberi. So both clubs, I think, are quite happy with the way that this business has been done, and it is all confirmed and sealed.
You're right. Charles, thank you very much indeed. It's shucking it down there at Murray Park tonight, just outside Glasgow. But Mark Hughes and Jaap Stam are with us. Mark, I think Steven Gerrard will be happy enough there because he's got Kamberi in there on loan. And earlier on, we were talking about this offset, if you like. Son of Georgie Hadji, Yanis Hadji, has joined Steven Gerrard and Rangers. This boy's a real prospect, apparently. A lot of people interested in him.
Yeah. Well, if he's half as good as his old man,
yeah,
be some coup for Rangers. Be really interesting to see how he performs up there. If he's that talented, then he can make a huge impression in Scottish football.
Yeah, he was a great player. You remember Georgie Hadji?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember his son. Even in Holland, they were talking about him. Ajax is always like looking at like young players as well, and very skilled players as well. And they wanted to sign him, I believe, as well. So it's a good thing for them.
Yeah. Joe, you were talking about Chelsea and Spurs there. A lot of people asking tonight, Mark, why have Tottenham not got a striker in? I mean, when you think of it, Harry Kane, we don't know how long he's going to be out for. No. They're talking about the beginning of April. He might not be back then. He might not be back by the end of the season. He might miss the Euros. And I'm not being sensationalist saying that, but he might. Yeah,
there is that possibility. I think clearly they were in the market. If they could get one over the line, they would have done. But I think even though it looks like clearly they're not going to do it in the time that's available, they're probably still comfortable with what they've got. If you think of, obviously they made a new signing in midweek, very good player from Holland. They've got Son as well, who can play down the middle sometimes. They can mix and match. They've got enough talent at the top end of the pitch to still be effective. Clearly, they're not going to. They haven't been able to replace. How could they, in terms of a Harry Kane type player? Because they're few and far between. So they'll be disappointed in that regard. But they've still got enough talent in the building to make sure they're as successful as they want to be this year. Yeah,
Mark, you said potential disappointment at Tottenham. We were also talking to Gary Cottrell at Chelsea there. Will they be disappointed not to have brought in a striker as well?
Well, like we said before, you know, they probably wanted to bring in somebody like, you know, with a certain quality as well, that they can help them out. You know, they can be very important for them. You know, so and they're looking. I think they're making the right decision in a way. If you can wait, and if you have like a certain ability still within your squad, that you're thinking, okay, as a manager, okay, you know, if we don't get somebody with that extra quality that can help us out, that can bring that extra bit to the squad, and we've got these players that we trust and they can do it as well, then we're not going to make that choice, or we're not going to make that gamble by bringing somebody in that we maybe not know enough or well enough to produce.
Mark, have you ever been in that position before that you just want your chance to play and impress? I mean, you were virtually never present, mate, to be fair to you. But there's Giroud waiting for a chance from Lampard. And when he gets it, if he gets it, he's got to take it.
Yeah, just looking from the outside,
too easy.
Looking in, it just looks like from a very early point in Frank's tenure, I think Giroud's been told, listen, we're going down another route, we're going to bring young players through. If there's an opportunity to play, I will, but the reality is you're not going to get too many opportunities. It's your last year, you're going to move on. So I think, in fairness to the club, that's why maybe he hasn't made a song and dance about it, because he knows that his time's up at Chelsea.
Mark, let's see if we can make a song and dance about this, because we're going to head up to Old Trafford right now. Old Trafford, of course, it's their neck of the woods. They know where we're going in a minute. James Cooper is up there. Is this the moment that United fans are waiting for? Have they got themselves a striker? Have they got themselves Odion Ighalo?
It's not a Jedi mind trick. Your senses do serve you well. Manchester United have got their player. Ighalo will be a Manchester United player. A deal's been agreed, I'm told, between Manchester United and Shanghai for Ighalo to join for the rest of the season on loan. I think there'll be an option to purchase at the end of that, but the option will be Manchester United's, and they've done it. They've got this smash and grab raid. Now, I think in terms of an official announcement of both clubs, I think we're not jumping the gun, but I think because of time zones, I think it's about 5 a.m. in China, so we might be waiting a little longer for an official announcement, but the deal is done. It's been agreed. I think the nuts and bolts of getting Ighalo over to Manchester might not be the easiest, bearing in mind he's 9,000 miles away, but Manchester United, of course, play Wolverhampton Wanderers tomorrow in the Premier League. He won't be involved or even in Manchester, I don't think, for that. They'll then get him over here. They've got a 2-week break before the game against Chelsea, time enough to get him in a sort of mood and also sort of fitness to be part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans. Remember, he's been taking part in pre-season stuff in Shanghai, so he's not 100% fit perhaps, but certainly nearing that, and an option for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He said he wanted a striker, he said he wanted more of a goal option. Well, Manchester United have backed him. They've done the talking, they've done a very late smash and grab raid. Josh King didn't happen, but Odion Ighalo will be a Manchester United player, at least for the short term.
James, terrific. Thank you very much indeed. So, with just over half an hour to go until the window shuts, 32 minutes to be precise, United left it late, but they got it done. I mean, Mark, as always, there's always a surprise, and this is the surprise. Odion Ighalo woke up this morning a Shanghai Shenhua player. Tonight he's joined Manchester United.
Yeah, that's football on deadline day. Situations and deals that you would have thought wouldn't have any traction or any possibility of getting over the line. This one's been done, and good luck to the lad. I think, I said earlier, having the opportunity to play for a club such as Man United is something that not too many players get the opportunity in their career, and he's got that opportunity now. They're saying it's just to the end of the season. It's in his remit to make sure it's longer than that, and he's got to do that by performing with a red shirt on. A lot of strikers have gone to Man United and failed because the weight of the shirt is too heavy. So I wish him well.
Yeah,
hopefully he's going to succeed, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You know, because nobody, and he's got nothing to lose basically as well, because nobody thought he was going to be that United player. So, you know, they brought him in. United's got the confidence in him. We all, are a bit surprised basically. So, you know, he can just go in there and just do his thing and show himself on the pitch, and then hopefully he's going to go do well for United, because we all want to see United like to
get back up there,
to go up again.
In a sentence, how is Odion Ighalo feeling having joined Manchester United? How did you feel? In a sentence, what were your emotions?
I felt very surprised that he was joining United.
Very surprised.
There we go.
Yeah, because I've never. It wasn't my name, if you want to call it like that. You know, to pick him for United, to be that centre forward. But obviously he scored goals. They know him, and like everybody, like you and myself, like former players and United supporters, everybody who joins United, you know, we wish him well, and he's joining a big family, and everybody within the club. You know, hopes that every player is going to do well, is going to perform with the help from everybody around us, and also with the fans. So I'm sure he's going to feel welcome over there, and hopefully he's going to produce.
Yeah, and I wonder what the contrast is like between how Odion Ighalo is going to be feeling and how Joshua King might be feeling tonight, because obviously we knew he wanted the move to United. Bournemouth didn't want to let him go. I mean, he'll be disappointed, I guess.
Yeah, he's going to have to be really professional. I'm sure he is. Comes across as a good professional, obviously looking at him as a boy, but it's going to be a huge disappointment. He's got history with the club, obviously, been involved with Ollie in the past as well. So for that opportunity to be presented to him, and then unfortunately because of the situation Bournemouth find themselves in, that situation's been taken away from him. Really hard for the boy. It'd be really interesting to see how he reacts, and I'm sure he'll react in the right way. But
is it not like that? You talk to him, and probably Ollie has spoken to him. I don't know, maybe not, but somebody spoke to him, and telling him that he wants him, and that maybe that they told him as well that okay, if the deal's not done now, then maybe towards next season we still want to have you. Because we see you as like a prospect, as a very good player for us towards the future.
Sure, as you say, Mark, you just got to be professional and go on with it, tough as that might be. You can see the clock behind the boys at this stage. 28 minutes to go. We know now that Odion Ighalo has joined Manchester United in the last few moments, and he'll be on his way very shortly from China to the northwest of England. And all we need now is Jared Bowen, confirmation of him in at West Ham, and it'll be job done on deadline day.
More breaking deals happening in the Championship. Let's start with Cardiff, who have just announced the signing of Albert Adoma from Nottingham Forest until the end of the season. Leicester City defender Filip Benkovic has joined Bristol City on loan for the rest of the season. As we've been telling you here on Sky Sports News, Bristol City seen off competition from a number of other clubs to get that deal done. Celtic, Derby, Middlesbrough were all in the race for Benkovic, but it's Bristol City who have managed to get that one over the line with half an hour to go in this window. Birmingham have been trying to sign the Wolves striker Bright Enabakari for the last 2 days. At the second time of asking, that deal is off, but they're now going for a different Wolves striker. That is Renat Dadashov. He's going to be joining on loan until the end of the season. That deal should be completed before 11 tonight.
Tag Heuer sponsors Sky Sports News in 60 seconds.
Right, let's bring you up to date with the latest headlines now. Manchester United have agreed a deal to sign Ighalo on loan from Shanghai Shenhua. Gareth Bowen is close to signing for West Ham from Hull. He arrived at the London Stadium late on deadline day after the deal looked to have stalled. Olivier Giroud's hopes of a move came to nothing. Tottenham, Inter and Lazio all wanted him, but Chelsea couldn't get a replacement, so he stayed at Stamford Bridge. Edinson Cavani will not be playing in the Premier League this season. Chelsea were after him, but the player is staying at PSG. Anthony Robinson's dream move from Wigan to AC Milan has fallen through. He needed extra medical tests and time ran out to get them done before the deadline in Italy. And don't forget, our social report, in case you missed it, is available on Sky Sports Facebook and on Twitter.
Sky Sports News in 60 seconds, sponsored by Tag Heuer.
Well, time is getting on, isn't it? It certainly is. 22 minutes until the window shuts here in England. Remember, it is midnight in Scotland. One story has emerged out of this transfer window, and that is Sheffield United. They have been very active throughout the window and on deadline day itself. Chris Wilder and the guys are having a flyer in the Premier League this season. And Chris spoke about wanting at least 3 players before the window shut earlier this week. They smashed their transfer record yesterday, and as well as that, they got another 2 deals over the line today. And that's a pretty good window. Tim Thornton has watched it all unfold, and Tim joins us live tonight. Tim, tell us about these 2 new additions.
Yeah, it's been a good transfer window. It's been a good week. It's been a good day for Sheffield United. 2 more in, as you mentioned today, Jim. Let's start with Richaro Zivkovic. He signed from his Chinese side, Changchun Yatai. He's joined on a 6-month loan. He's very, very quick. He's a Dutch striker, so he'll add something different to the squad. And they've also signed Panos Retsos, who's a defender from Bayer Leverkusen. He's a Greek international. He can play as a central defender, but also slot into the system with the attacking, overlapping central defenders and the wing-backs that Chris Wilder plays. So he's very much one that fits the Sheffield United mould. He's very excited to have arrived here in Sheffield, and we spoke to him a little bit earlier on.
I'm really excited. I'm glad to be here in this historical team, and I'm looking forward to play games.
What do you know about Sheffield United? Have you watched them a lot in the Premier League?
Yeah, I watch them a lot from the moment they told me that they are interested, and I'm really glad to be this historical team. I can't wait to practice and to play games, because Premier League is a different league, for me the top league in the world, so I just can't wait.
So he's happy to be here in Sheffield, and so is the club record signing. This deal was done late yesterday. Sander Berger, or Burge as Billy Sharp calls him, very, very pleased to have done the deal. This is a player that Chris Wilder has tracked all month. In fact, he was interested in him back in the summer, but the owners have got behind Chris Wilder. They backed him. I know he's been working day and night on this transfer, and it's a real statement of intent for the football club, and he's another one that's very, very happy to sign here for Sheffield United and for Chris Wilder.
I've spoken with Chris, and I've been admiring the team for a long time now, and how they play, but also how he handles the personal perspective of everybody and the dressing room, and it seems like a fantastic group, so I'm just looking forward to contribute from day one.
You've already played in the Champions League and the Europa League. Can you get back there with Sheffield United?
That's the dream, and of course that's our ambition, to win as much games as possible, and then we'll see where we are when the season is finished.
So 5 signings in all have come in during this transfer window for Sheffield United. 2 out today. Ravel Morrison has gone to Middlesbrough on loan, and Mark Duffy's gone out to Holland to play for Alan Pardew for Den Haag. Jake Wright has also left the club. He's had his contract terminated by mutual consent, but they're very, very happy here with the business that has been done, in a great position in the Premier League, and with the new signings in, ready to kick on.
Tim, thank you.
Yeah, can you believe it? 18 minutes left till this window shuts. Michael Bridge got some developments for us from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, firstly, Joe, it's outgoings, and Connor Wickham has joined Sheffield Wednesday on loan until the end of the season. He featured a bit in the first team recently in the last few weeks, but even so, Wickham has dropped down to the Championship and joined Sheffield Wednesday. He actually trained here earlier, gave me a thumbs up actually, but he is now in Sheffield and a Sheffield Wednesday player until the end of the season. Another line, Nathan Ferguson, still chasing whether that's going to happen. I understand that it's looking more unlikely. We did tell you earlier there were complications with the medical. Stay with me, so follow me on social media on that and Sky Sports News Twitter, and we'll try and get you an update as quick as we can on that. But my understanding is Nathan Ferguson's move, the right back from West Brom, is now looking unlikely.
Michael, thank you very much. Our reporters still working away really, really hard. Look at that clock, 17 minutes, 57 seconds to go. And there are still deals to be done. We are awaiting confirmation of Jared Bowen to West Ham. Hopefully, we can bring that to you as soon as there's not much time left to go. Stay with us here on Deadline Day.
Not long now then, is there? 14 minutes to go until we hit the deadline. Let's whiz through this now and just recap on a whole bunch of things. James Cooper has been at Old Trafford all day for us, and this one came from left field. James stuck with it, and it's a done deal. James, tell us more. Ighalo, a Manchester United player.
He certainly is. He went to bed a Shanghai player. He's waking up a Manchester United player, and I think he'll be delighted being a Manchester United fan. He's the Nigerian who's 30 years old, plays his football in China. Well, he'll be flying into Manchester in the next few days. He doesn't need to do a medical because it's a loan deal, so strictly there's no medical that needs to take place. And Manchester United, I think, have done enough research to know that he's fit enough, and certainly with a couple of weeks perhaps under his belt, will be fit enough to go to Manchester United and be part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans. In terms of an option to buy, I thought there was going to be one. There isn't, and I think, again, that's in Manchester United's favour. Look, they wanted to try and bring a couple of signings forward from the summer. They did that with Bruno Fernandes successfully. They couldn't bring the striker in that they want in the summer. So I think what it means is they've got flexibility with Ighalo. He'll be delighted to be here. May even do a huge job for United in terms of scoring goals and be a plan B for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I think what it does mean, confidently, I can say this, is that Manchester United will go for even bigger business in the summer as we see, if you like, phase 3 of this revamp under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I know he'll be delighted tonight. He wanted the option of more goals. He wanted the option of players to play up front. Odion Ighalo gives them that. He'll arrive here in the next few days, and who knows, Bruno Fernandes might make his debut tomorrow.
James Goodman, thanks for that. Where are we? Just over 12 minutes to go until the deadline. Let's hit Alan Irwin, who's at Everton. Alan, good evening.
Good evening. Business concluded at Everton, Jim. By the very nature, we spoke to Carlo Ancelotti earlier today. He told me there'd be no formal bid for Richarlison earlier in the week. He is staying at Everton Football Club. No real opportunities were presented to Carlo Ancelotti in terms of bringing players in. He reiterated to me he's happy to work with the players he has at his disposal in his current squad. He was unable to offload Oumar Niasse or Cuco Martina. The only player who has gone out today, late in the window, Jonas Lössl, the goalkeeper, has gone back to Huddersfield Town on loan for the remainder of the season.
Alan, thank you very much indeed. We have just over 11 minutes left until we hit the deadline. And remember, Manchester United fans watching on, we now know Odion Ighalo has made it. He has joined Manchester United. We'll recap in this later, but we're hitting the deadline very soon. Let's go to Emma, who's at Watford. How are you? Good evening, Emma.
Yeah, hey Jim, I was pretty optimistic all day that there would be an arrival here at Watford, but I'm going to have to admit defeat at this point. They tried so hard to get Ben Gibson in from Burnley on loan. They had 3 loan offers rejected from Burnley, a player desperate for game time, but he is not going to get that at Watford for the remainder of the season, unfortunately. So no centre-back in, but there is a centre-back out. Sebastian Prodl has left the club. He's been released with a year remaining on his contract. Obviously, he's had a number of injuries during his time here, so he has left the club. But Jim, don't you worry about us. There's been an absolutely incredible spread put on here for us by Watford, not even joking. So it was well worth the wait, don't you worry.
Emma, thank you very much indeed. Pretty chilly up in the northeast tonight. We're going to go there now to Newcastle, and because of that, Keith Downey will join us. He is wearing his and his wife's thermals. Keith, how are you?
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Jim. Steve Bruce, he's been busy this window, let me tell you. Danny Rose was his priority. He arrived yesterday on a loan deal until the end of the season. No option or obligation to buy. That followed hot in the footsteps last week of Valentino Lazaro on a loan deal from Inter Milan with an option to buy, and Nabil Bentaleb, who was a similar loan deal with option from Schalke. So 3 in the door for Newcastle. He did reveal this morning that they had a plane booked, a private plane, to bring Soumare from Lille. £45 million was the fee agreed with Lille, but Soumare changed his mind at the last minute and Newcastle missed out on that one. But all in all, a decent window for Steve Bruce in Newcastle.
Well done indeed. Thank you very much indeed. There's always a private plane involved somewhere along the line. Just over 9 minutes to go. Arsenal, are they going to do any business, Geraint, before this thing shuts?
No more business today, but it's been a pretty good day for us. So there was, Jim, there was a private function, quiz night, in the stand opposite me tonight. Mikel Arteta, he has the answers to the questions he wanted answered this month and today as well. Cedric Suarez came in this morning, Pablo Mari the other day. Exactly what Mikel Arteta wanted, to take Project Arteta, Project Arsenal forward. It's been a good day, been a good month for Arsenal as far as Mikel Arteta's concerned.
Geraint, thanks for that. 9 minutes to go. Let's join Gary Cottrell down the road at Stamford Bridge. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to JD Dyer before we go to Gary Cottrell. And JD, what have you got for us, mate?
Jim, I thought you was going to cut me out. Honestly, my heart was broken right there, man. What do they say? What's the saying go? The best thing comes to those who wait. Literally, I know, under 10 minutes to go, West Ham fans, still be patient. Jared Bowen could still get over the line, even with the fine minutes that's left. But when you review the whole window, even I spoke to David Moyes this afternoon in a press conference, you think about Souček that's in already. Dynamic midfielder, 6'4", is going to add a lot of goals in industry in that midfield. Darren Randolph also solving the goalkeeping problem they had. But I told you, there's still minutes left. There is still time to get Jared Bowen over the line. And I'm telling you, Jim, this could be the deal of deadline day.
OK, we'll be back with you very shortly because just over 8 minutes to go. I mentioned Gary Cottrell. He's down the road at Stamford Bridge here in West London. He's been pestering the life out of everyone at Chelsea. What have you got for us? We'll never know, will we? We'll never know. But we've got a rough idea what Gary was going to burst into there. Olivier Giroud has stayed at Chelsea. More on that coming up very shortly. Just over 7 minutes to go. Let's go down to the south coast. Lovely part of the world. Here's Elliot in Brighton. Elliot.
Thanks, Jim. Well, Brighton announced the signing of Chelsea young left-back Tariq Lamptey, the 19-year-old. Made his debut for Chelsea against Arsenal just before the turn of the year. Impressed. Came on when Arsenal were leading by a goal to nil. Came on, and then the scoreline ended 2-1 for Chelsea. So an impressive signing, plenty of pace down the right-hand side. A three and a half year deal for him. There is some activity going on in the building behind me. Brighton's sporting director, technical director, I should say, Dan Ashworth, is doing a deal, trying to do a deal involving Leon Balogun, the central defender. He could be on his way to Wigan Athletic.
OK, he's leaving it late, as you know. It's 7 minutes to go. Let's go back down to hear what Gary Cottrell was going to be talking about at Stamford Bridge. Gary, we've got you now, and that's how we like it.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you. Can hear you now. Chelsea couldn't do business last time. They didn't do business this time. That surprised the fans, frustrated Frank Lampard. Downright misery for Olivier Giroud, who wanted to go. He's got to stay and not play. That's football. That's transfer deadline day. Pardon?
What a man he is. Let's go back down the south coast, Southampton, in fact, and Roger Clark. Roger.
Yeah, after they got Kyle Walker-Peters in yesterday. Today, deadline day was more about players going out on loan. Cedric Suarez, we already heard about. He's gone to Arsenal. Then later in the day, Maya Yoshida, we heard that he was close to a move to Sampdoria in Italy. That got confirmed later on this evening. He'll spend the rest of his days as a Southampton player, playing in Italy for Sampdoria under Claudio Ranieri. Another player on his way out, Callum Slattery, is an under-23 captain, but he's going to De Graafschap to play in the second tier of Dutch football. And in terms of players in, Jacob Maddox, he's a young midfielder. He's coming from Chelsea on a loan, option to buy at the end of the season. He'll be playing with the under-23s.
Roger, thanks very much. Just along the road from you, we get to Bournemouth with about 5.5 minutes to go. We'll speak to Becky Williams. And Becky, I'll tell you what, we thought Bournemouth was where the story would be with Josh King, but not so.
We did indeed, but I think Bournemouth will be pretty pleased with how things have turned out here tonight. They haven't brought any new players in, but they have managed to keep hold of the likes of Nathan Ake and, of course, Joshua King. He's so crucial to this squad. We told you earlier on this morning that Manchester United have made a bid in the region of £20 million for him, but it had been rejected by Bournemouth. Interest this afternoon seemed to cool off, but certainly Eddie Howe will be very happy that he's got Joshua King on board for this relegation fight.
Rebecca, thank you very much indeed. Just over 4 minutes to go. What about a touch of Wolves? And here's Anton Toulouse.
Yeah, one in here at Wolves' Jim. Luke Matheson, the exciting teenager, joins for around £1 million from Rochdale. 8 players, yes, 8 have left Wolves today, including Ryan Bennett to Leicester and Dion Sanderson to Cardiff. But Luke Matheson is also one of the players that's technically left as well. He's gone back to Rochdale on loan for the end of the season. He passed his driving test yesterday, became a Premier League player today, and tomorrow, well, he's a £1 million player playing for his hometown club again. Not a bad week, eh?
Not bad at all. Anton, thank you for that. We knew that Manchester City were going to do next to nothing today. They were going to have a quiet one. As a result of that, Ben Ransom has just woken up from a long sleep. Ben.
Yeah, the big news here, a departure right out of left field. In this case, quite literally, Angelino, the left back, has joined RB Leipzig on loan. Now, let's not forget City only brought him back to the club last summer for £5.3 million. There's an option to buy in the summer for €30 million. That's £25 million, potentially a £20 million profit in just 12 months. So you can see why City felt that was a good bit of business. One other move, a departure to the Championship. Matt Smith, an unsuccessful loan spell at QPR. He's gone to Charlton on loan for the rest of the season. He'll fill that void left by Conor Gallagher.
Ben, thanks for that. 3.5 minutes to go. Time to go to Burnley. And who else but Peter Stevenson?
Yeah, good evening, Jim. The Ben Gibson deal didn't happen. Watford nowhere near Burnley's valuation. Mati Vidra didn't happen, but he could still go to clubs in Russia. Their deadline is February the 21st. So for Burnley in this window, it's just Josh Brownhill, signed from Bristol City. He could feature against Arsenal on Sunday when Burnley aim to make it 3 wins on the bounce.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Who do you need for the big finish? The one and the only, Rob Dorset.
Jim, Leicester City left it very late, an hour before the deadline, but Brendan Rodgers finally has that centre-back cover that he desperately wanted. Ryan Bennett has joined on loan from Wolves until the end of the season. They can buy him for £5 million in the summer if they want. That allowed them to send Filip Benkovic on loan to Bristol City. 1 in, 1 out for Leicester City.
Rob, thank you very much indeed. And you can see the yellow strap going across the bottom of the screen. Aston Villa got their man, Borja Baston. Has signed up at Villa. We will get to Aston Villa very shortly and we'll rejoin Jamie Weir there. It's been quite an evening, actually.
It has indeed. Lots of loans, lots of loan deals.
Yeah.
Seems to be the kind of story of this window, loan deals. Who do you think this has been the best window for? Lots of people saying Sheffield United.
Yeah, difficult to say. I think anybody who's done business will feel that they improved. I think that's the key to any window you go into, is that at the end of the window, if you do business, you want to be in a better position than you were at the beginning. That's why you go into the market. So there'll be a number of teams, Sheffield United being one of them, that will feel, OK, maybe knock out all our targets, but we've got enough to be happy with.
I just wonder how Odion Ighalo is feeling at the moment. Yeah, what a day he's had, that boy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very happy with this transfer and the deal that he's done. But I think United is going to be happy as well. You know, if you hear the news and you know and the thoughts of United in who they want to bring in. They want to bring in a striker. They want to bring in a midfield player. They've done so. So hopefully it's going to work out well for them.
Okay, yeah. Mark, the time is almost upon us. Just over a minute then until we hit this deadline. And it's been quite a day with quite a number of different stories. Olivier Giroud at Chelsea. He thought he'd be out of there. 3 clubs, Tottenham, Inter, and one of Jaap's old clubs at Lazio were after him, but he stays there. And that's mainly because Chelsea, they fancied getting Dries Mertens in, the Belgian who plays for Napoli. They didn't do it in time. It didn't happen, so Giroud stays at Chelsea. Now he's got to impress Frank Lampard before he can impress Didier Deschamps, before he can get to the Euros. Odion Ighalo, what a story there. He woke up in China. Tonight he's a Manchester United player. It's quite an incredible story. We thought it would be Josh King. Odion Ighalo got over the line. Jared Bowen, West Ham. It'll be announced shortly. Quite a day, deadline day upon us. All goes quiet after that, doesn't it? It's funny. Jaap Stam and Mark Hughes are with Joe and myself. There's always a great sense of relief, Mark, when you go over the line there. Of course, another hour to go.
In Scotland.
Up in our neck of the woods in Scotland. And maybe Celtic fans will want to hang on because it could well be over in the east end of Glasgow. We might see the odd deal done there. Rangers got a loan deal with the lad from Hibs in, didn't they? And of course, earlier on, we knew that they also got Yanis Hadji, son of Georgie Hadji, over the line. That surprised many. A significant signing for Steven Gerrard. He wanted names over the door, and he's got them over the door. And Hadji is quite a name in world football. We spoke, Mark, earlier, Jaap, about Josh King and how he will be feeling. I suppose now for Olivier Giroud, the professional in him, he's got to get himself together, keep working. You made a great point, Mark. He's shown absolute dedication to the cause in recent weeks. He'd like to have got a move for game time, but he's going to have to force his way somehow into Lampard's plans.
Yeah, that's the situation he finds himself in now. He clearly wanted to go in this window. It hasn't happened. You have to take it on the chin. You have to go back into training the next day and push hard, do exactly what you need to do and the utmost that you need to do to try and get into the plans of Frank Lampard. And if he does that, then he'll get game time, I'm sure. But unfortunately for him, he's not in their plans clearly. But he, as a backup striker, if they have injuries, clearly they've got targets they're going for this year. If they lose any of their key players, he could be back in, so he's got to be ready.
Yeah, and Jim, I mean, you mentioned some of the big stories of this transfer deadline day. Jared Bowen is the one that we're still awaiting confirmation of. Mark, I mean, I just wonder, if you can give us a little bit of an insight when you're a manager and you're working really hard towards that clock counting down to get this one done. We understand there was a bit of issues over his contract, some of the personal terms, some of the things he wanted in that contract in terms of a release clause. How hard is it when you're up against the clock to get them over the line?
Well, it does become frustrating. Obviously, like what we've gone through this evening, we're looking at the clock, and as managers and coaches, you're always thinking, is it going to get done? You're a little bit hard on your admin staff, if I'm honest, because you want those deals going through, you want the emails signed and sent back, and when it doesn't seem to have any traction, that's when you can get a little bit short with people. But obviously, it's a very complicated process, and everything has to be done in a certain order. If it isn't, then the deal could fall down on an admin error. So you don't want that to happen. But clearly, if it's not working as hard as you think it should be, or not moving as quickly, then you do get a little bit stressed, I have to say.
Yeah, and I mean, once that clock reaches zero, it's closed. Is a lot of the sense, I mean, will some of these clubs be feeling a bit of a relief now that it's over? I mean, not a lot of the clubs have been particularly busy, but the likes of Tottenham, a lot of pressure on them from fans, kind of wanting them to bring in a striker. Will Jose Mourinho be quite glad that this is over now?
Well, I think everybody who loves Tottenham, basically, who's a fan of Tottenham, they would like to see Mourinho bring players in. And I think that's normal, because I think every fan wants to have that their club is going to do well, is going to perform, bigger names, better players, and I think that's normal in football as well. I think Mourinho is a manager, of course, with the experience that he has, that he's also looking at his squad. Brought in the player from PSV Eindhoven, the Dutch boy. He's got certain ability as well. He can play up front, he could play from the wing, and he can play as a number 10 as well. So he can use him up front as well, and he's got other players as well. But I think it's normal that people want to see, well, as much players as possible and big names as well. So,
Mark, what do you make of this bit of news that I've got? I'm just learning here, and this is a good source. Aston Villa turned down Odion Ighalo at 11:30 last night.
Oh, wow.
This is according to a reliable source. 11:30 last night, they apparently, reportedly, had the chance to sign him and said a polite no. And now United have moved in. Other bit of news in actual fact, Celtic and Sheffield United were after Neil Taylor of Aston Villa as well. But both of those approaches were turned down as well. But if that's true, Villa in last night at 11:30, I beg your pardon, Ighalo's people were saying you've got the chance, and they...
Well, Villa probably got the details of the deal and politely said no, because clearly he's playing in China. He's on significant money, because that's probably the main motivation for a player in this day and age to go out there and play, because of the rewards they can get. And only, I said earlier, only a few clubs have the resources to compete with that. And maybe Aston Villa didn't. Clearly Man United did.
Still waiting on that official announcement that Odion Ighalo has joined Manchester United from Shanghai Shenhua on loan. Let's speak to a man who's played with him. And Keith Andrews, you actually joined on the same day at Watford, didn't you?
Yeah, joined on a season-long loan a few seasons ago now. Iggy joined same time. Took him a little bit of time to get up and running, but most certainly proved his worth at Watford Football Club. But then eventually, obviously, ended up in China.
You said proved his worth. When he did start showing this quality, what were his main strengths for you?
I think when you look at what he did in that team, whether he played up front with Troy Deeney, he was able to play in it too. Then when confidence grew, I think you've seen the real Ighalo in terms of hold-up play, and then the eye for a goal. He's a very, very good finisher, but obviously that was at a certain level, getting out of the Championship, staying in the Premier League, and obviously got his move off the back. This move is obviously on a different stratosphere.
You say different stratosphere. Can you actually believe we're talking about Ighalo, Manchester United striker?
No, genuinely I can't. When you hear the story, you think it's one of those red herrings on deadline day that agents are throwing out there, but we know the desperation of Manchester United in terms of trying to bring a striker into the football club. I thought, look, he's won the lotto here, but he won that when he went to China in the first place. This is on a different level in terms of professionalism, the levels that he's going to now. What a dream move.
He says, as a Manchester United fan as well, you say it's a dream move. Put yourself in Ighalo's shoes just now. What must be going through his mind? We think you're still in Shanghai, by the way.
Yeah, he can't believe it. You get a phone call like that from your agent and presume that's the route it would have come through. You're thinking that can't be real. You're going to have a club from the stature that he's in, take the financial situation out of it, to go to a club of Manchester United's status and what they're striving to do is just something that you cannot dream of. It's something that he woke up today or in the last few days thinking there's no way this will happen, and to finally get it over the line, which it looks like it's going to happen, is a dream come true, I'd imagine.
Just finally, Keith, a lot of people have been questioning this move, let's be honest about it, but if he was to perform, do you think he could perhaps be the difference between Manchester United getting top four and maybe not?
Look, I think he gives them an option up there. I think realistically he's in the middle of pre-season at the moment. Will he be fit enough to hit the ground running remains to be seen as well. But will he be the answer? It remains to be seen because it's such a huge level to jump. But what it will give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is another option in that area of the pitch.
Keith, thank you very much indeed. So the window is closed. It is a formality. Ighalo will be a Manchester United player. We're just waiting for that formal announcement.
Darvish, thank you. Well, it was late, but Aston Villa have got the striker in that they desperately wanted to help their fight against relegation. Borja Baston has left Swansea to join on a free transfer subject to international clearance. And our reporter Jamie Weir has got his very first interview.
Yes, thank you very much. Delighted to say that Aston Villa's new signing, Borja Baston, is alongside me. Borja, how does it feel to be in a claret and blue shirt?
I am very happy to shine for Aston Villa. It's a big club. I am excited.
Just give us an idea of today. It's a crazy day. But when did you find out about the interest from Aston Villa? Have you spoken to Dean Smith at all?
It was a very, very hard day, very, very crazy day. But I spoke with Suso in the morning, and then he spoke with Swansea. And for luck, all is done.
Yeah, and an easy decision for you. Premier League club, big club.
Yes. For me, it's a great option. It's one of the big options. I'm so happy.
Tell Aston Villa fans, what can they expect to see from you? What will you give to this team?
I want to say I want to work hard every day in the training ground, in the games, and I hope to score a lot of goals for the team, and the more important is the Aston Villa stay in the Premier League in the next year.
And in 4 weeks' time, you could be playing at Wembley in a cup final.
Yeah, I am ready. I am ready.
That's exciting.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's really, I can tell you're excited, and a new chapter for you. You feel as if you can score goals in the Premier League, you can prove a point.
It's an honour for Aston Villa and the Premier League. It's amazing for me. It's amazing.
Well, I can tell you're a very happy man to be here. Congratulations. Thanks for having a
Thank
chat.
you
It's
so much.
Borja Baston, the fourth signing for Aston Villa this January transfer window. I'll tell you what, they've done some good business, haven't they?
Yeah, a reasonably busy window for Aston Villa. A quiet deadline day for Liverpool, but Vinnie O'Connor, perhaps no surprise there.
No surprise. I mean, great as he is to deal with, Jurgen Klopp, he's absolutely killing me when it comes to transfer deadline date. Liverpool just far too organised with their transfer dealings of late. You go back to Virgil van Dijk, of course, that deal sorted before the start of the transfer window, the winter transfer window a couple of years ago, and then confirmed as the transfer window opened. Naby Keita, that deal effectively sealed a season in advance. And then, of course, this time around, Takumi Minamino, another one where his deal was sorted before the transfer window window was open and then confirmed on day one as well. No outgoings today either. Klopp had made it clear that Shaqiri wasn't available. Nothing in the end materialised for the Nathaniel Clyne either. And an admission today from Jurgen Klopp that planning is already underway to improve a squad that is 19 points clear at the top of the table. It looks as though Liverpool will again be just as organised in the summer transfer window as they have been once again in this one.
Vinny, thank you very much indeed. Back here in the studio, Cavi has joined Yap and Mark and myself and Joe on set. The window is shut. What have you got?
My understanding is that Jared Bowen has signed for West Ham United. I've been told that he has signed that contract. It hasn't been announced yet, but he is going to be a West Ham United player. Somebody who's there at the moment at the London Stadium telling me that the contract has been signed. Of course, this is great news for David Moyes. Jared Bowen has been one of his top targets this month. He signed Darren Randolph. He got Thomas Tuchek in from Slavia Prague as well this week. And Jared Bowen is now a West Ham United player. So the West Ham owners really backing David Moyes, giving him the players that he wants, because it's absolutely crucial for West Ham to avoid relegation this season.
You would think Moyes will be happy tonight, Mark. I mean, West Ham, gold and silver in a push to get somebody over the line. And the somebody over the line is a boy, obviously, as Cavi says, that Moyes has wanted for a while.
Yeah, the boy's a talent. And top end of the pitch for West Ham has been problematic for him, I would suggest. So he's going to add to the creativity of the top end of the pitch. Obviously, on the back end, they need to keep the ball out of the net as well. So time will tell to see if they're the right players for the situation that West Ham find themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it gives West Ham fans a shot in the arm. Yeah, even over in Holland, where you're living, you'll still hear that on a regular basis they're uptight about one thing or another. This is positive news.
No, but it's very good for them, and I think it's very good for Moyes as well, because if you come in as a manager again, well, you've been there before, but if you're joining the team again, then you want to have your own players as well, and you want to have the quality in that you think is necessary at the time to get better results. And then if you can get those targets, then I think you're doing a very good job.
Stay with us. We've still to establish whether or not any Premier League clubs did submit the deal sheet between 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. It could be significant what Cavi Solikol has just said there, because we're still awaiting confirmation that there are any outstanding deals here. We usually have a couple which can take deals all the way through until 1 o'clock in the morning. We're trying to get to the bottom of that. We're trying to establish that, because remember, clubs had to complete everything by 9 o'clock on this form if they needed that extra time. Stay with us. We'll get the names as and when we can.
Brian, thanks very much indeed. Well, when Manchester United lost Marcus Rashford to injury, United fans were thinking, where are the goals going to come from? Well, now we know, because tonight, this fella has joined up at Old Trafford. Odion Ighalo signed up from Shanghai Shenhua on loan until the end of the season. What a story this is, but what can he do?